So these are the 4 steps we try to take. When we approach our web presence at the country level. We try to make sure that we set our sights on where we want to be perceived, where we want to be found, where we want to be found as relevant outside of Cisco.com, in social media networks, in SEO, on Google.com, on Baidu, based on what country our customers are in, which is the leading search engine. Where should we be? Where should we not be? Where should we care? Then, once we have visitors on our website, we need to make sure we don't disappoint them. If they typed video conferencing in Chinese on their website, we need to make sure that they land actually on Cisco.com on a page that does answer their question. So the question of deception is a very important one. You get only one shot at making a first impression. And we want that to be the best we can. And I'm sure we don't succeed every time, but we try to move in that direction. So again, we look at our log files. We try to understand the best we can the behavior of our users, how they react to various types of contents, what worked, what didn't work, what broke, and we try to help that by promoting more enriching behaviors with more engaging content. Many of you probably know that Cisco makes routers and refrigerator-sized type of devices that enable the connection of informations on a very large scale across the internet. And these things reside in closets, in networking closets, and we never see them. But yes, Cisco has been growing a lot through acquisitions. In the past few years, Cisco acquired Linksys, which is a company that makes these little devices that enable your home to be connected to the internet and wireless to be available in your home. We also got into the business of set-top boxes for your TV. We also acquired the flip camera. So we are all moving, I think the large players, HP and Apple, are all moving towards that connected environment. So to answer your question, we are talking to different audiences. And that's part of my job, is to make sure that our website is not seen as just one brochure, which can be targeted at one audience. It's a multiple brochure, or rather, there are several ways to look into Cisco.com. And our job as marketers is to be able to centralize what we can centralize. The technical information is the same for everyone. But the way you present a piece of product or solution to an SMB decision maker with no technical background or a large enterprise technical geek is very different, using a very different language. And the way we localize has to take into consideration not just the target language, but the target language plus the type of Chinese you want to read. Technical versus very generic, very informational. So yes, the educational aspect of a company cutting across multiple audiences is very important. So another measurement is, of course, to translate that marketing into sales. So how do we feed sales into the leads into the sales funnel? And we have ways to measure that. And how we structured ourselves over the past 3 or 4 years has been along the concept of the hub and spoke, where we look at the processes, we centralize what we can, what makes sense, but we always work very closely with the actual country experts, usually a Cisco marketing person, a Cisco salesperson at the country level who gives us the feedback that we need from a standpoint of translation, quality, adequacy with the market, product availability, all these things that we cannot do centrally. We translate a portion of the content to give an accurate representation of where the company is in terms of product lineup, solutions, but we only go so deep. At this point in time, One Voice Web, which is the core the core introduction body of content for Cisco is about 100 pages wide, including videos and things, PDFs and things like that. And through other types of targeted rollouts, product launches, SMB-specific launches, we probably reach, in most of our countries, about 180 pages. So we are paying a lot of attention right now on web personalization. Again, Paula and Henry have been very clear about the change in expectations, the change in technologies. We have to be aware of that. We have to be aware of what people expect, what they want to see. We have to be reactive and responsive to patterns that we see on our website and try to promote a more tailored experience on the website. Again, we recognize the very quick adoption of the mobile platforms. In China, for instance, when we launched the Chinese mobile website, we've seen an uptick in our visitors, in our views. In a sense, when we do something in China, given the penetration of the internet in general and the mobile technologies in particular, when we do something in China, we see something on the scale that we don't even see in the US. Whether it's an event or product launch, but when we go all out with a well-organized, well-synchronized marketing offensive in China on the mobile platforms, on the traditional platform, it registers in our log files in a tremendous way. So recently, we've also changed the way we've done things in the past. In the past, we used to run these programs centrally with offshore teams of publishers and central processes for translation and localization involving country stakeholders, country Cisco marketing and salespeople to evaluate the quality of translation. Over time, we've also centralized the function of publishing. So we've built two hubs, one working with Lionbridge, by the way, in Poland, the other one in India, to manage both our central programs, but also the local publishing. So that I think has been the largest change that I've seen in the past couple of years, is that centralization of resources in two places in the world that enables us to get more done for less cost, but also to provide countries with a much wider array of service. So essentially, most countries in the past had one web developer in the office. There was a comfort of knowing the person, individually, personally, being able to walk over to the cube and request the publishing of this press release immediately. So that comfort goes away, but in return, what you get is access to a team of 20 or 25 experts with a wide array of technical knowledge and web design knowledge that can really provide a value add to what you need to do. So One Voice Web, again, the program through which we roll out the minimum set of content that each country should have. So if I answer your question, we only roll out a certain amount of content, and we let countries provide their own content that we then publish through our central publishing services. So the way we look at a web page is also changing, like we see in all the websites that we look at on a daily basis, Google and website, Yahoo and things like that. So this is a page that is part of the One Voice Web concept. And what we recognized very quickly was that the entire page couldn't be either local or global. It was a concept that was not contemporary anymore. Every page has to be seen from a local standpoint. The alignment behind that page, seen from a local customer standpoint, what we need to look at it is what really belongs, where does a corporation from a global standpoint make sense to maintain certain elements of content, and where does the country really make sense to manage certain elements. So everything basically that has to do with overall information, product information, is best managed by our central teams in terms of content. Whatever is transactional or a local event, a local promotion, a local phone number, a local chat in the local language is best left at the control of the country. So our web design has to reflect that in a flexible way. So over the past few years, we've maintained about 3 releases a year of that One Voice Web content. And One Voice Web became not only a body of content, but it became really a conduit, a funnel, a platform on which other operations happen. For instance, now we have One Voice Web, we have our websites wired to receive content, we have the conduits in place, the publishing teams are in place, the localization mechanisms and validation mechanisms are in place. Now we are able to synchronize a product launch. So now we are able to better support with less stress a large product launch on Monday morning at 5 a.m. In 64, 65 countries. So recently, we've noticed a lot of demand for maintaining and designing a strategy for a Cisco presence in the social media networks, and what to do and how to do it, and what should the branding be, and how should we measure that. So again, in this case, we've also had to walk the line between global and local and recognize that social media, to a large extent, is a local activity in terms of content. However, there are things we can do to ensure success, to enable these programs to go quickly to market. So we can set up these accounts. We can make sure they are brand compliant. We can make sure that if the brand was going to change, this will be reflected here, but the content has to be handled at the local level. So we have at this point about 25, a little bit over 25 countries that have a regular presence on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.